Hello everyone. So it's been a little while since I was actually on here. I had some issues with my software that I use to record everything. OBS was crashing on me and it was holiday time, so I didn't have a lot of time to work on everything. So it's been a little bit since I was able to get on. A little bit of housekeeping news. What I would like to actually start doing from this point on is working on having some sort of content that allows you to get a little bit of some hints and tips and tricks as to how you can improve your game in Summoner's War. I want to start doing a weekly vlog where I talk about the improvements I'm making on my own account, and then also continue doing the account reviews. So that should be no real problem. In order to get an account review from me, you just need to follow the information that I'm putting up on the screen right now. If you follow that information and email that account specifically, do not give me your account details, by the way. I will add you onto my friends list, and I will go ahead and get you an account review done. Generally speaking, my plan is going to be to have those done within 24 hours after you've accepted the friend request. If for some reason that does not work out, or I'm going to be busy with school or what have you, I will send you an email or message you in game letting you know that there will be a little bit of a delay. Otherwise, I should be able to get that taken care of for you, and yeah, that's about it on that. I think that's going to do it for housekeeping type of stuff. So yeah, today we're going to be taking a look at BascoRacha. I think that's how you say his name. I apologize if I killed that for you, Busco. But he is a relatively new player, and I actually already did this review once, but I forgot to change OBS's output format to MP4, and Premiere does not like FLV format, so I'm having to reshoot it. So I'm actually going to approach this from having already looked over his entire account, and give all the big things right up front, and then we'll look over the monsters. So it should be a pretty easy review to get an idea of what's going on. Right up front, I'll try to put up some team compositions that I'll recommend for both TOA and for GB10. Busco is stating that he would like to work on a B10 team and a TOA team. However, looking at his teams, I'm thinking he's meaning Giants B10, as he's not quite ready for Dragons B10, though he does have some monsters that should make it pretty easy for him to transition into Dragons once he is ready. So without further ado, let's go ahead and switch over to his account and take a look at what BascoRacha is going to have going on. Okay, so apparently I misremembered his name. It's BascoRacha. So Basco here has a pretty neat little kit of monsters. He has some pretty nice Nat 5s and some Nat 4s, like a Galleon and a Vertiheel, that are going to allow him to make his late game life much easier. For the time being, though, he has a lot of basic monsters he needs to improve to start making a good baseline team. So just right off the bat here, we're going to talk about what I'm going to recommend with the monsters you have for your initial team. For your initial Giants B10 team. So first off, you're going to have what I would recommend as Veramos as your lead, Bella Dion, Shannon, Bernard, and Darian. With the option at a later point to swap out Darian for the Wind Ninetail Fox array. Those are going to be the base team that you want to work on and build up and get ready, and then start swapping out monsters as you get more and more rooms. For your TOA team, you're going to want to use Beretta, Beretta as your lead, Veramos, Bella Dion, Spectra, and Mav. So those are the 10 monster, well, I guess those are the 2 teams with some shared monsters in between that you're going to want to work on improving right now and getting ready to do Giants B10 and TOA all the way up to 100. I can tell you that my TOA team that I just repeated is the TOA team that I use, and that I'm able to use it with the exception of 1 or 2 levels all the way to 100. The only thing you'll need to do is improve your runes. So let's start by taking a look at the runes that you do have. One of the problems that you seem to have in your build, you understand basically which sets you should be using, and you seem to have a rough idea of what 2, 4, and 6 runes you should be using, except you don't quite understand the difference between flat and percentage stats on 2, 4, and 6. And this is a critical component of your runes. It's one of the things that's going to limit you quite a bit if you are using flat stats. So for instance, on Bella Dion, you have a flat attack stat. Now Bella Dion in general, you don't need to worry about putting attack on. But what you do need to do with Bella Dion is have a speed, either speed HP HP or speed HP defense. And those need to be HP percent and defense percent. With the exception of speed, none of your 2, 4, or 6 runes should ever be flat stats for your primary stat. They should always be percent. If it is a flat stat, consider it garbage and move on. The other thing you need to try to do is convert away from 3-star runes. You need to start getting into 4, 5, and 6-star runes. Over time, switching completely to 5 and 6-star runes. That is something that is going to be absolutely critical for you to get the stats you need to be successful in later parts of the game. I can tell you at this point, I don't use a single 4-star rune, and consider any 4-star rune, no matter how good, to be sellable garbage, because it is not going to give you enough at any point to be worth it. 5-star runes sometimes can actually be better than most of the 6-star runes you're going to see, and in those cases you can keep those. But you need to start transitioning away from your 3 stars, and once you're away from your 3 stars, work on transitioning away from your 4-star runes. And that is primarily what you have with most of your monsters. So for doing Giants B10, if it is a fire monster you want to use, I don't recommend it, but if it is a fire monster you want to use, it needs to be around 20 to 21,000 HP minimum. And I would recommend having a defense somewhere in the area of around 800 for all of your monsters. And most of your monsters, as you're going to see, do not come anywhere near that. They really, 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 really need to be around 18,000 if they are just a neutral element compared to the boss, and around 16,000 if they are a wind monster. So taking a look through here, Bella Dion, you want to bump up her health. You want to get the defense a little bit higher. If you're going to be running Swift set, her speed needs to be above 200. Accuracy, you want to get to about 45. Once you transition to dragons, you want it to be about 55. And after that, you've hit cap for PvE. That's player versus environment, meaning you're not playing other players' teams. Okay, Veramos. Veramos is really big on being an HP tank because of its skill 2, and speed is absolutely necessary. Not only because his skill 1 scales, damage scales off of speed, but because he's your cleanser. So in other words, you need to have his speed above 200 as well if he's going to be on Swift. Being at around 180 to 190 range on Violent is passable. For Giants. For Dragons, it is not, but you do have Verti-heal, so once you transition to Dragons, that you can get away with cheating a little bit on that. Again, you seem to have flat stats on 2, 4, and 6. Well, at least on 2 in this particular case. Attack is not needed, and defense is something that is useful. I don't say that it's not worth having. Certainly you want to level up the rune. But preferably, I would prefer speed, HP, HP for your 2, 4, 6 runes. Transitioning to the next monster in your Giants team, let's take a look at Shannon. Shannon is a critical unit for being able to keep yourself buffed, especially while your stats are low, and as well as slowing down and putting glancing on the boss. Her base HP is going to be very, very low. I possibly recommend 6-starring her when you get a chance, if you're going to run with her for a while, because it's so hard to get her base HP up to that 16,000 mark. Her speed will want to be on a little bit of a higher side. I would say if you could get to about 170, 180 range, because that buff is going to fall off on your other monsters because they're going to be moving a little bit faster than her. So try to get her up around the 170, 180 range, I would say. Her accuracy is fine. If anything, it can come down about 10 points. Give yourself some room. And with her, I generally recommend something like speed HP. HP would probably be best because her base HP is so low. And make up whatever you need to on 1, 3, and 5. Let's see here. Bernard. Bernard has to be your absolutely fastest unit, hands down. He needs to be in the 220, 230 range. You need to push hard on him. And the nice part about Bernard is because he's so reliant on speed, you don't really have to go for much else beyond that. So get as many of your highest speed runes on him as you can. You want Swift set on him, obviously. And then you will want to get his HP to around 16,000. Again, he's not as heavy because he's a wind. And then accuracy is fine where it's at. Defense, like I said, if you can get it to around 800, great. If not, he'll survive. He's a tough one, actually. Darien is a really cool unit, specifically for the fact that he has this Knighthood passive, where he's going to reduce the amount of damage your team takes. And again, these are all base starting units because they are meant to take a huge beating because you're not going to be able to kill the boss as fast as someone like myself or even a late game player who would kill it even faster than myself. I run about a minute and a half. Most other players are going to run it, high-end players are going to run it around a minute, probably even less. And so they don't need to rely on as much on damage mitigation because they're killing it before they have to worry about that. You are going to have to worry about damage mitigation, so you're going to want to make sure you buff up Darien. He's really good. He's a good HP monster. His first skill scales off of max HP, and second skill doesn't. However, it still gives you a good attack break, which is really helpful. So you're going to have an attack break on him and Bernard, which is good. Doubling up on that so you have a backup is fine. At some point, you're going to be able to get rid of it. Like I said, your first one you'll probably be able to replace is Darien. But for the time, go ahead and build him up. You want lots of HP on him just for his skill number 1. I'd suggest around 20,000. Speed is not as critical for him. He's one of those ones that can be a little slower in a group, maybe 140, 150 range. And even it could probably be less than that if you really, really don't have the runes for it. I understand. He's the one who needs speed the least out of your entire team. He's mostly there to protect protect the team from taking too much damage, and then he'll apply the attack breaks and the power breaks. So great monster. Do what you can to get his HP way up. Defense, get his defense pretty high up. And then after that, everything else is just kind of as you can fill it in. Accuracy will probably be a little bit nice if you get his up to near the cap. And we talked about speed, so you're all set on that. So that's your Giants team. For TOA, I would recommend everyone be at 20,000. So you'll want to actually push Bella as high to 20,000 as you can. We already are going to be pushing Veramos to 20,000 if at all possible. Beretta, same thing. The trick with Beretta, and I've already looked at your runes here, and I know that you have attack on this. Beretta doesn't really need to be attack. And again, get rid of these flat stats. These aren't going to do anything good for you. But Beretta is interesting in the fact that he is going to be a big damage dealer for you, but not in the way you would think. He doesn't use attack to do his damage primarily. It's mostly off of this Phoenix's Fury. And he's going to apply continuous damage a whole bunch. And the reason he's going to do that a bunch is because you want his speed to be super high. He needs to be breaking about 200 speed, Beyond Despair, which I believe you already have. Yes, and... Oop, didn't want to get out of there. So be around 200 speed and have an HP above 20,000, an accuracy of around 45%, which is capped for TOA. I would recommend 55% just to have him ready for dragons. And then everything else is just bonus. That's all just bonus. Defense, get his defense up a little bit. But everything else is just extra on top of the cake, and you can work on it from there. But generally speaking, oh, I was looking at Bella Dion, wasn't I? Sorry. Yeah, so I would recommend for him speed, HP, accuracy if necessary, or speed, HP, or speed, HP, defense, or defense, HP. It doesn't matter between these two, which one is which. And when you get later on, you can start putting on maybe some attack percent or something like that on him when your runes are better. But for now, you need to make sure he stays alive in TOA, because he's going to be important for landing the Phoenix's Fury for the dots and for possible stuns. And the Turbulence, that reset, is going to be massively beneficial for you. So yeah, go ahead and take a look at him. Get him re-runed, get him all set up. So that's 3 of them. The other 2, Spectra and Mav. So Spectra and Mav are where your team's ability to manipulate attack bars on both sides start to come in. Spectra has 2 main functions. The first one is this backlash, where he has a chance to decrease the attack bar of all enemies and has a chance to slow them. It's going to give you a huge advantage in terms of having more turns than the enemy in just this guy alone right here. But the other thing he has is Special Assault, and against larger units with more HP, he's going to do a ton of damage against them. The drawback to this is that he's going to consume some of his own HP, which is going to have require a higher healing to come out from you. So you have to pay attention to that depending on which levels you're on. But Backlash and Special Assault are really important for you. The way I would recommend ruining him is speed, crit rate, and probably HP percent. Honestly, assuming you can get to 45% accuracy. If you can't do that, then you need to go there. He needs to be about 20,000 health as well, which I would recommend Swift Set for now until you have good Violent runes, in which case you want to take him and put him on Violent, because he doesn't necessarily need to go first. And him needing to have speed is not nearly as critical as like a Bernard having to have speed. Him, it's more about hit what he does to the other team. And he already has a high base speed as it is, so that's very helpful. So that's Spectra. Mav is on the other side of things. So he has an ability that is extremely critical called Wings of Wind. Wings of Wind allows you to reduce the cool time by 1 turn of every ally on your team. So every one of their skills get cool times reduction, which is massively beneficial for Veramosa's Stun and Beretta's Phoenix Fury, so you can put more dots on and more chance to stun, and having Bella giving Bella more chance to heal. But on top of that, he also increases the attack speed, which means that while your enemies are being slowed, yours are being sped up, gives you an even larger gap in terms of how many turns you're going to get compared to the other team, which is exactly what TOA is about. TOA is all about control. How much can you shut down the other team and give yourself as many turns as possible? And then he has 2 very important abilities also. Declare War. This is going to allow him to provoke the bosses and allow you to lock down bosses since they can't be stunned. Honorable Attack is just a chance to stun, which is a great skill 1. You know, you can't ever expect too much out of skill 1, and just having a minor chance to be able to stun is awesome. Yeah, very, very, very useful. Okay, so those are your monsters that you should take a look at and how you should ruin them. And main thing to focus on here, and I can't stress this enough, do not use flat stats on 2, 4, or 6. Unless it is speed on 2. That will always be flat. You have to get rid of those. +9, get all of your runes to a minimum of +9. They can't be sitting there not leveled up on your monsters. That's not doing you any good. As you start to get better and better runes, you'll have a minimum of +12, and then you'll have ones that you definitely want to get to +15. But for now, worry about +9. So that's that. And then HP. HP is massively beneficial. That you have to have a bunch of HP for doing this content. I mean, your monsters, if they're dead, they're doing no good for you. So make sure you're working on getting that HP up. Some monsters that you can take a look at down the line on starting to work on. Rauk is very interesting. Some people love him, some people don't. It's RNG with him. He's an RNG monster. He can do a lot of good. He could be completely worthless. I don't know that putting a lot of time into him might be worth it. Vertiheal is going to be one of the best monsters you have for dragons. It's going to allow you to cheat on so many of the speed limits where they say you need so much speed to be able to do it and you just don't have the runes. His 30% speed leader is going to make it so that you can do a lot more that you couldn't. But he's for dragons. Focus on getting giants first, and then you move on to dragons. The nice part about Giants B10 is once you're able to do Giants B10, you can jump straight over to Dragons B10. B8, sorry. And then Pirate Captain, Galleon, is very, very useful. He will be critical for your speed runs. However, until you're much better, you have much better runes and much better monsters, I wouldn't worry about putting too much effort into him, but he could help you out for Guild Wars right now, and Arena. Start working on Arang. Arang is an awesome self-sufficient damage dealer. She'll need a bunch of attack, some HP, get her crit rate around 65 to 75, crit damage up a little bit if you can. Sekhmet is awesome. She'll actually do quite a bit of good stuff for you in TOA. But for the time being, you should concern yourself on trying to get your basics down and then add Sekhmet in. Brandia is very good for PvP, and I've seen her used in raids. I don't know. I just got one myself. I'm going to try to use her in TOA. She could potentially be useful in things like the Artemio levels, where you have monsters that are going to attack short of being stunned. And that could be useful there. The Fire Elven Ranger is supposed to be pretty good for Necro. Maybe save one of him, get him skilled up if you can. Just have him sitting in the back wings until when you're ready for Necro. But that's quite a ways away. I wouldn't worry about that too much. So that should take care of about most of what you have here. Like I said, you have a great account. You have a couple really nice, cool, shiny toys you're going to be able to play with at some point, and they're going to absolutely be awesome for you to have. But in the meantime, you have all of the basics you need to do Giants B10 and TOA normal. You just need to get them runed up properly. You need to farm runes as fast and as much as you can. That is absolutely the most critical point. So make sure you're getting in there, farming giants, farm your butt off, man, as hard as you can. What you'll probably end up having to do is do B7 for a while, and then transition over to B8 once your Veramos is fast enough to cleanse off all the dots. And then for B9, you're going to find that you're going to have a rough time because that fire, having that fire giant is going to just tear up your wind monsters. But that's fine. Do whatever you have to do to get through it. Crystal res, whatever. Get all the way through it, and then you'll be ready for doing Giants B10. TOA takes a lot of patience. You may have to run levels multiple times, 5, 6, 7 times. If you ever need a good resource, I actually recommend checking out Orange LOL. I'll try to add a link in the description down below to her channel, but she is the queen of TOA. She came up like doing almost completely free to play and just murdered TOA. She's absolutely by far and away one of the best I've seen who's documented the process of getting to the point where you can do TOA regularly from the beginning. And she speaks pretty well to people who don't put a bunch of money in the game. So I think she'd be a good one to check out. So again, I'll put that description down below. But everything else here seems pretty good. I think you have a lot of potential. You're going to be able to do pretty well with what you have here. Again, farm the runes. You don't have to worry about so many more monsters. You have what you need. Farm the runes. Use your crystals for energy refreshes. Get those knocked out of the way, and you'll be rocking out, Basco. All right. So if anyone else would like to have any count reviews done for me, I'm going to throw up that information again right now. Just go ahead and send me an email to that email at stratimusgaming@gmail.com. Let me know the information I'm asking for here on the screen, and I will get you added and we'll get you taken care of. All right, guys. Thank you very much for checking out the video. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.